Good evening, friends. So, we're going to read another story today. Today we're going to find out about the cosmos. I'm going to introduce all of my friends. This is Gandalf. This is Michael. Over here we've got Gluteus Muttonus. And then hiding over here we got Chups. They're going to join us today. Feel free to tuck in, go grab yourself a drink or some popcorn, and we'll get going momentarily. So once again, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, I'm reading National Geographic's Treasures of Norse Mythology by Donna J. Napoli. Beautiful illustrations. There weren't very many in the last story, but there are some in this story, so I'll be sure to share with you. And we're going to talk about the cosmos, and you're hopefully going to forgive me if I butcher some names. The cosmos consisted of separate worlds arranged on 3 levels. In the middle level, many creatures made a home. Humans had Midgard, frost giants had Jotunheim. The gods needed a home too. Now, up on the top level of the cosmos, there was only one world at this point, Alfhelm. That's where the light elves lived, happy souls. So the sons of Bor chose to build a world for the gods up there. Beside Alfhelm, they named the world of the gods Asgard. It had spreading green meadows and splendid meeting halls. By now the deities had multiplied, and they had welcomed into their group various other creatures, friendly giants and elves. Odin was looked at as the father god. They called him All-Father. And the deities of this huge family called themselves the Aesir. They built a flaming rainbow bridge called the Bifrost that spanned the distance from Midgard up to Asgard. Between the Bifrost's flames and the high rock wall that surrounded the world, others were blocked from invading Asgard. But Bifrost's flames welcomed the Aesir. They simply shimmered in 3 colors under the gods' galloping horses as they passed across into their new dwelling. The Aesir built a hall from a single slab of gold called Gladsheim, and it served as their court. They built a hall specifically for the goddesses called Vingolf. They built a home with a forge and made hammers, tongs, anvil, all manner of tools, and furnished it well with goods of stone and wood and metal. The dishes they ate from were gold. Odin built his own hall, Valsgoth, and thatched it with sheer silver. He sat there on a high seat called Hildskulf, from which he could look out over all the worlds in the cosmos. These worlds now included one more, Vanaheim. The gods, you see, had split into 2 groups, the Aesir, who inhabited Asgard, and the Vanir, who lived in Vanaheim. The Aesir saw themselves as the true rulers of the cosmos. Given that attitude, it was no surprise that feelings between the Vanir and the Aesir were less than friendly. So Odin watched Vanaheim with special care. Odin ruled from his high seat, a helmet on his head, a raven on each shoulder, and his feet crouched 2 wolves, scary and freaky, ravenous beasts, who ate whatever food Odin dropped for them, which was abundant, since Odin himself lived only on wine. But these 2 wolves were also rumored to feed on nasty things. Maybe even it was whispered in the halls the corpses of men, and there were many corpses to feed on, for humans were more fragile than gods. On the 3rd and lowest level of the cosmos was the realm of the dead. It took 9 days to ride northward and downward and down from Midgard to get there. It was the deep and frozen northern land of Nilfhelm. A hateful monster presided there, all pink down to her hips and then greenish-black and decayed from hip to toe, with a huge, bloody-muzzled dog, Garm, baying at her side. She went by the name Hel. and many called her realm by her name. In those days to die was to go to hell. Beyond these 6 worlds there were 3 more, whose near them was Asgard. Gnawing at the cold root in Niflheim was the dragon Nidhogg. The squirrel, known as Ratatosk, ran up and down Yggdrasil, carrying words of envy and insult between the dragon below and the eagle that circled its talons around the tree's limbs, nibbling at the knees. And a goat called Heidrun chewed on its tender shoots. Yggdrasil groaned in agony, yet stood tall with nobility. You see, Yggdrasil was the most noble of trees. It looked out over everything, and knowledge of the world seeped into it. With all this abuse, surely the magnificent tree would have withered but for the efforts of 3 Norns. Norns were giantesses who ruled the destinies of humans. There were many of them, some malevolent, some beneficent. They were the ones responsible for man's son dying of illness and another surviving that same illness. There's a good picture of Yggdrasil and then the Norns. Responsible for one woman perishing in her first childbirth and another producing a dozen offspring and still planting and plowing with strength. They were present at the birth of every child, and no one could escape the fate that they assigned. Whenever anything strange happened, anything weird, everyone knew it was the work of the Norns, 3 of these Norns. Lovely maidens all took to caring for Yggdrasil. One was Erd, fate. One was Varandi, being. One was Skuld, necessity. Fate, being, and necessity. They watered Yggdrasil daily with the purest water from the sacred spring of destiny, and they whitened the bark with clay from the very spring to make it shine as clean and new as the lining of an eggshell, and to protect it from rot and decay. Yggdrasil served every kind of creature in every world of the cosmos. This most central tree made a whole of the cosmos, and so it is the most sacred place of all. Everyone knew that when Yggdrasil finally would shake, everyone would curl in fear, for the end of everything as we know would be at hand. Indeed, that may be why the hideous dragon Nidhogg tormented the tree, to put an end to what otherwise would be eternal. In the meantime, though, just the sight of Yggdrasil calms the most frantic heart. Thank you, friends, for joining me. I hope you have a really lovely night, and take care of yourself when times are tough. Go outside, hug a tree, say hello, breathe the free air. Good night.